Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Grow Your Life podcast. My name is Jeremiah Krakowski. Today we're going to be talking about finding a profitable hook for your offer in your business. As a coach and as a mentor, I've been in the industry for 2 decades and I've been helping people create millions of dollars using these strategies. And these are the strategies that I've learned over the years of what works and what doesn't. I was having a conversation over Instagram with a friend of mine. His name's Adam Carpenter, and it inspired this podcast. We were talking about the time that I had helping build the worship coach brand with our mutual friend Rick Pino from 2018 to 2022, and how not all ideas are profitable, how not all niche ideas work, and how to identify what is going to produce the most profitable results in your coaching business through this. I think this applies to every single coaching business, every single mentorship business, every single digital course business that's out there. And that's what we help people do, is create results in those businesses. You have to understand what your marketplace wants and desires. Just because you have great information for people doesn't mean that that information is going to be marketable to create a business. And we were able to help Rick build the Rick Pino brand and the Worship Coach brand to $1 million a month during the time that we were working with him. And it was awesome being able to see in real time how applying these strategies works. What you have to do is you have to understand the hero's journey, and you have to understand that finding people where they're at is more important than giving people what they need. And you have to lead with what people want, not what they need. That's one of the biggest mistakes I think a lot of coaches and mentors make, is they have a desire for what they want to coach on, what they want to teach on, what they want to train on. They got a great message that they want to give people, and yet they lead with what they want and what they desire, and then they struggle to create the kind of finances that they want. In the mentorship, coaching, training, and online course industry and business, you can create tens of millions of dollars in profit, and yet most people do what produces zip, zero, zilch, nada in their life. Now, one thing that I want to just address, the elephant in the room, is this. You may think, well, maybe my market is oversaturated. Maybe there's not a market for the thing that I do anymore. Maybe people don't actually want, what I'm offering. Here's the thing. They might not want it how you are packaging it, and the bait that you're using, and the hook that you're using. And that's really the mistake that I think that a lot of people make, is that they have a desire of baiting the hook with what they desire, what they want, meaning the mentor, meaning the trainer, meaning the coach has a desire for what they want to help people with, what they want to train people on, what they believe is the most beneficial thing for people that they meet. And, we had, back to the example of worship coach, we had identified that with Rick. He himself, I remember I was sitting at Kirby Lane off of I-35 in Round Rock, and we had a meeting where I said, here's the thing, dude, these people want to become famous worship songwriters, and they want to just win awards and get thousands of streams. And I remember Rick was like, yeah, but that's not what they need. That's gonna, I remember him saying it would nauseate him to just help people become famous. And yet I was like, and yet that's the bait that I believe is going to be the most successful thing. And it turned out, after about 1.5 years after we had that conversation, that was the most profitable, quote unquote, bait, was this idea of getting their music heard, getting famous, becoming the big name that everybody knows of, this household name, and that was the most profitable hook overall to people to help them come into the program, buy the course that was being sold, and then they were actually then upsold to a coaching program called the Inner Circle, which had a lot of amazing testimonies and stories. I still hear to this day amazing stories that come out of this. The problem that happens is that what we desire for people, what they actually need, oftentimes is not, I guess you could say, sexy enough. It's not enticing enough. It's not interesting enough to the person to actually take action with you. And what you have to do is you have to meet people where they're at on their journey, not where you desire to take them, not the change that you selfishly desire of them. And you might say, it's not selfish at all. They need this. They need to make this change. I saw somebody say this literally 5 minutes ago on my social media. It was like, what if they're doing something bad and they need to change? And I'm like, telling them what they're doing bad isn't going to get somebody to change. You have to bait the hook with what people want. And I think that that's what people are so afraid to do because of what it means about us. Because we're afraid to misrepresent ourselves, and really we're trying to manage and maintain our image and our reputation. And then the other problem is that we get so caught up in perfectionism, doing everything perfect, trying to appear like somebody that should be listened to, trying to appear like somebody that people should follow, when in fact, if you just identify where is your target customer, the person you want to help, the target client, what problem do they have? What is their deepest desire? And then you just bait the hook with their dreams, with their desires, with what they want, with what their aspirations are. I think back to in Star Wars, if Obi-Wan Kenobi led with to Luke Skywalker, by the way, this is a great example. And fictional stories, especially Star Wars is one of my favorite ones. Fictional stories and narratives have such a relevancy when it comes to being able to create profitable coaching and mentorship businesses. And yet many coaches and mentors I meet, they're like, well, I don't watch any TV. I don't participate in anything that's, fictional or not true or anything like that. And I'm like, some of the best coaches and trainers that I know, they watch things like Star Wars and Lord of the Rings and these fictional narratives that have this idea of what's called the hero's journey, okay? And so the hero's journey is this framework that was, I guess you could say, first talked about by Joseph Campbell. The hero's journey framework breaks down. Let me pull this up here. I'm going to pull this up. The hero's journey breaks down the process that every client that we work with goes through. They first identify the change that needs to happen in their life, and most often people reject it. I remember in Star Wars, Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan Kenobi was like, you know what, we can get you off this planet. We can go help you find your father. That was his desire, not to go defeat Darth Vader. He had no idea who that Darth Vader was. Lord of the Rings. Frodo was just looking for adventure, even. He didn't know where it was going to take him when Gandalf came. And so oftentimes what actually gets people to start moving and doing something and trusting you as a mentor and a guide and a helper is not going to actually be the destination to where they're headed towards, to where they need to go. And so as a coach and as a trainer, when we selfishly lead with where we want to take people, this is what they need to do. This is what they should be doing. They're doing something wrong. They need to be doing this. That's a completely misappropriated, like you're missing the mark. And basically what you're doing is, for lack of a better word, you're throwing a child's temper tantrum because people aren't doing what you want them to do overall. When to persuade people, to be able to get people to actually make the positive changes and transformations that they need to make in their life to reach their goals, you have to bait the hook with what people actually want. And you create mechanisms to where those people actually will tell you what they want through surveying people, getting them in their own words to communicate to you what are their desires, what do they want to do, where do they want to go, where are they headed. And instead of you just doing what you think is best for them, this is what's best for them overall. Like, people don't care what you think is best for them until they know that you care about their desires, and people have no respect for your opinion about what they should do until they know that you respect what their actual goals are. Okay? And so what you got to do is you got to bait the hook with what people actually want. And this is the art of persuasion and marketing and building trust. And to actually get people to become clients of yours in a mentorship business, in a coaching business, I teach what's called a laser-focused, quote-unquote, trained assassin approach. Okay? And some of you might be like, oh, I don't, that sounds violent. I don't want anything to do with that. Understand what I'm talking about is like the ability to, quote unquote, be dangerous, in the ability to focus in on, laser in on the right type of person who is most likely to purchase your mentorship from you, who is most likely to actually become a paid client of yours. And so what you want to do is when you survey your audience enough and you learn enough about what they want, what they desire, and they actually tell you in their own words what they want, what they desire, where they are, you're then able to bait the hook with what they actually desire, what they actually want, and it becomes super enticing. And for lack of a better word, what you're doing is you're doing what a predator would do with prey. Again, some of you might be like, okay, you're talking about stuff that feels uncomfortable. Predator, this kind of sounds a little weird. Is this ethical? Is this moral? Listen, this comes from a place and a desire of having the highest integrity, the highest ethics, the highest moral compass on this, okay? And understand that for you to be able to help people the way that you want as a mentor and coach, you have to bait the hook with what people actually want. And so if we think of our prospect as this target that we have, again, like prey that a predator is going after, like a target that an assassin is going after, and we laser in on the right person, what actually gets that person to become a paid client of ours is baiting the hook with what they actually want, with what their desires actually are. And I think that this is one of the biggest, quote unquote, mistakes that people make, is they are baiting the hook with what they desire, with what they want. A predator that goes out, I'm thinking of a lion, going after a zebra. is not going to lead with, hey, I want to make you a snack. Okay, understand that, right? The zebra doesn't want to become a snack. But when the lion knows where to go where the zebra is eating, and then is able to identify how to distract the zebra in a way, that way they can pounce. Okay, again, now we're not pouncing on people. We're not distracting them in a way that they don't see it coming type of a thing. But what we are doing is that we are giving people what they want, leading with what they want first. Leading people, we're even showing up in a place, and it might not be what you want, and it might be anti what you even want, and it might even be connected to what you believe is bad for people. It might even be connected to what you believe is not healthy and not the right thing, and it might violate everything inside of you. It might go against everything that you stand for, even. And yet, if that's what the target client wants, that's the right hook to go with. Even if it's 180 degrees away from what your message is overall. You want to bait the hook with what people actually want and desire. And then you show up and you give people their dreams and you give people their desires. And that's where then you build trust with them. And once that trust is built, you're able to lead people to become a paid purchasing client of yours. And if you're somebody who operates with ethics, morals and integrity, and you're actually helping people and you're actually solving problems for people, this is a highly effective way to convert people into paid clients of yours, of your offer, of your business. And this is one of the most number one neglected things that I see many mentors and coaches doing, is they're leading with, well, this is what they need. This is what's going to help them. Why is nobody buying it from me? And it's like, because nobody gives a rat's bum what you want for them. They only selfishly care about what's in it for me. And you gotta lead with what's in it for them and what they desire more than anything else. Okay? And then when you do this, you're able to, only after trust is built, only after the person is convinced that it's in their best interest to follow you. What convinces people of this? When you give them what they want and desire, when you learn how to persuade people, when you learn how to help people. One of the biggest ways to do this is not criticizing people, not pointing out all the stuff they're doing wrong, and encouraging them in what they're doing right. Finding the good in every situation, even if they're doing something that's completely opposite of what you think is healthy for them. It's not about you. It's not about you getting them to do what they should. And at the end of the day, when you can bait the hook with what people actually want, and you're building a coaching business and a mentorship business and a training business, and you're able to help people reach their goals and reach their desires, and you lead with what they actually want, not what you want for them, but what they actually want. So you lead with that, but you can still lead people to the thing that they need, 100%. But you got to bait the hook with what they actually want. Back to the worship coach example, what helped Rick grow that the most profitable was baiting the hook with what people actually want, how to become these famous worship leaders. And he has such an incredible message. I've listened to hours and hours of his teaching and training. And I wasn't even really his target market, but I've benefited from it. It's amazing. Um, Rick is such a great teacher. He really is. He's got a gift for that. And but he always leads with what people actually wanted. And anytime that we did that, we were able to give people the exact message they needed, but it was packaged, it was presented. It 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 had the bait that people actually wanted on it, and it attracted way more people than leading with quote unquote what we thought was best for them. What they needed. What they needed, we tried a campaign where we led with what they needed. Zero sales. We did a couple of those campaigns. They were a struggle. They were hard. As soon as we were like, you know what? Let's just give people what they want. Boom. Cash flow. Money. It became profitable. Okay? You might say, well, I don't want to be a sellout. I don't want to be a sellout to the cash flow. Oh my goodness. If that's all you heard from this message right here, I don't know what else to tell you. I think one of the biggest mistakes people can make is we have this desire to do everything right and to do everything perfect and to make sure that it's all done the right way. And oftentimes I hear people say, don't take shortcuts because taking shortcuts will lead you down a path of destruction. And then they actually see what I'm talking about here, about baiting the hook with what people want as a shortcut to destruction. And I'm just like, you're missing the point. Trust me, this is not a shortcut. Trying to lead with what you want is actually the shortcut approach. This is the longer way. It takes more time, but it's the most effective because you're leading with what they actually want. And it might go very much against how you think it should be. The other thing too is listen, it's better to have an experimentation mindset where you're willing to test some different ideas out, to test out multiple hooks, to test out different ideas. And ChatGPT is a great resource to be able to do this, to be able to take the different concepts and the ideas that you have and to be able to test out different types of offers and hooks, to come up with different angles and then create different mini campaigns where you see the feedback that comes. How do people respond to this messaging? What comments do they have? And you create as well a feedback loop into your process. This is the most important part of this whole thing, is where you become relentless at gathering from people feedback of where they're at, what their desires are, what they're struggling with. And when you do that, and you do that effectively, and you do that often, and you do that consistently, you'll start to have the kind of cash flow in the business that you want. Success in business isn't about always doing the right thing one time. Of course, if we do the right things multiple times, it'll produce results. But oftentimes, the right thing may seem like the wrong thing initially. But then when you back out, it's like, oh, it was actually the right thing. And I find that this is one of those areas that most people get wrong. They're leading way too much with what they desire, with what they feel. I hear it. I'm called to do this. I'm called to lead people in this way. Great. Awesome. Figure out what they want. And that might be very different from the message that you feel called to lead people to. But they're connected. And you're able to connect the dots. And when you're able to connect the dots effectively like that, my goodness, it becomes a powerful, powerful business. Listen, I want to encourage all of you, if you're listening to this podcast, if you're still listening this far into this episode, you're doing a great job and you can accomplish anything that you want. Listen, join us for one of our live events that we're hosting. We host live events often to help mentors, trainers, and coaches create the kind of businesses that they want. And if you're not in my Client Growth Accelerator program, this is our premier group coaching program where we work with you on your offers, your webinars, your trainings, your messaging, your ads, your sales copy to put together the results that you want. Get on the waiting list. Join us when we open the doors. And listen, I'm excited to see you get results. The only reason that I even do this podcast is to produce results for you, to help you become a wealthy, profitable entrepreneur in the coaching and mentoring industry. If this episode has impacted you, if you like it, if it resonates with you, pass it on. Share it with one person. Share it with somebody that you know that it will impact them as well. Grow your life, everybody, and we'll talk soon. Have a good one.